Oh man, hard cup. Hard cup.
It's the best kind of cut.
We'll figure it out in post. It's fine.
Right. Okay.
It's all you, buddy.
Oh, okay. We're talking? I'm talking.
We're talking.
We are here for another edition of Mob Rules Hot Takes. Today we're going to be reviewing the Ork Codex. So, as usual, we are not going to talk about the fluff of the book, although you should read it. There's some super funny and amazing stories. Y'all are going to love those. So definitely check them out. Get a good read. John's code will not be available for you to steal, as he so eloquently provided it to you. And of course, as speaking of John, I'm joined today by my co-host, John.
Hello. Yeah, you are. As we try a new 21st century virtual hot take, I should say, right. As you are now one with the potato fields of Idaho.
Yeah, I am 2,600 miles away, but you know what? That's not going to stop us from reviewing this codex.
No, it should, but it won't.
But it should, yeah, it should. Well, there's a lot of reasons why it should, but just not today. So going over the rules, we'll first be going over the Battleforged rules, then the Army rules. We're going to talk about the match play rules. Those are secondary objectives for you folks who are counting these up at home. We'll talk briefly about the New Crusade rules, which are pretty fun for orcs. It involves accumulating scrap, which is dope. And then we'll do some data sheets and some points. So, John, are you ready to talk about some orcs?
Heck yeah. I transitioned over to the rules page scene, which you don't get to see here, but that's okay. And then, let's take us through it.
All right. So, flipping over, we'll go to the detachment abilities here. So this is going to be any kind of orc detachment that you build. You got to follow these rules. So the first of which, any clan units, excluding Gretchen and orc detachments, get a culture ability. Makes sense. And troops, excluding Gretchen, get OPSEC. So makes sense. And then we have specialist lads. And so these are units that aren't going to break your clan rules by including them. And they include Gazgul, Captain Badruck, Makari, Mad Doc Rotsnick, Zog Rod Wurtzn, and any kind of specialist mob, which we'll get to later. Those guys are pretty cool specialist ones. And then the I'm the Boss ability, which limits the amount of war bosses that you can have in each detachment. Whether they're a war boss or a Death Killer War Trike, you can only have one per detachment. Finally, this page specifies Warlord traits that are intrinsic to special characters, and also kill rigs, because kill rigs with some of the Warlord traits be pretty broken. So they've done a good job of making sure that really you're not able to take some of the more broken Warlord traits on the kill rig. But some good Warlord traits for those characters. So next page, we've got our clans, and this details kind of the clan cultures. So an interesting caveat about this, which is different than some of the other books, is that you have to have an Ork clan warlord to select one of the relics from this page. So you can't buy a clan relic unless your warlord comes from that clan. So just keep that in mind when you're looking at these. So each clan gets a stratagem, a warlord trait, and a nifty relic. So we got Goths. So the Goths abilities here, they changed a little bit. They still have 6s, provide an extra hit. It used to be an extra attack roll. An extra hit is obviously better. And then anytime you make a melee attack, right? I mean, duh. A thing you don't have to roll for is always better, guys. Anytime you make a melee attack, if you were charged, or perform heroic intervention. It's just if you charge or perform heroic intervention, you add +1 strength. So if someone charges you, you don't go up to strength 5 or even higher for the other units. Their warlord trait is proper killy, get a +1 attack, and also improve your AP by 1. Not bad. Definitely increases that offensive capability. It also doesn't say that doesn't stack with relics. So you can use that with a relic to increase your AP on it if it's not something that has a great AP value on it. Their stratagem is unbridled carnage, which means instead of unmodified 6s to explode into an extra hit, it makes it 5s instead. So just a little bit more killy, a little bit more choppy for your buck.
Very goth.
Yeah, very gothy. Very gothic. Then you've got the relic, which is the Iron God, and that gives you basically after making close combat attacks, you roll a d6 on a 2+. One enemy unit that's in engagement range with you takes d3 mortal wound. Yeah, not bad. Just an extra thing to bite somebody with, right?
Yeah.
So my personal favorite is next. We got Bad Moons.
But just because that's what your favorite clan's been for years, though.
It's true. I've always liked Bad Moons.
Before they were really good.
Yeah, well, they're still not good. So, spoilers. Add 6 inches to the range of any Daca or heavy weapons that models of this culture are equipped with. So, there's a lot of great heavy and Daca weapons that'll affect. And anytime you roll an unmodified 6 to wound, it improves the AP value of an attack by 1. So, definitely makes those attacks hit a little bit harder on 6s to wound. The Warlord trait is the best army Teeth can buy, which is a 4+ invul save, and then also you get to add 1 to armor saves. So this relic is really great with things like the Mega Armored War Boss, or one of the Squigosaurs.
Does that give that War Boss like a 1-up save?
Yeah, with the Mega Armor it does.
That's real good.
Yeah, which is dope because like Bad Moon should have Mega Armor. Like that's like one of their jams. Because they've got so many teeth, they can pay for it, which is awesome. Then you got Showing Off, which gives them basically the old Daca rule, which is now gone from the Orc Codex, where an unmodified 6 to hit, it scores an additional hit. So it's like they become ranged Goths on 1 unit for 1 command point, which is pretty cool. And then the Relic is the Gobshot Thunderbuss. Yeah, Gobshot Thunderbuss. I said that right.
There's going to be a lot of us second guessing what we said during this entire review.
There's no way that can be the real name. That's a stupid name. And basically, this is a heavy flamer. It replaces a custom shooter, and it's a heavy flamer that's 2d6 hits. But they're all auto hits, which is nice. And since this is a heavy weapon, they do get to add 6 inches to the range of it, so it does become an 18-inch heavy flamer.
Nice.
Which is, yeah, it's kind of cool. Evil Sons. So Evil Sons change quite a bit. They still get +1 move, and Speed Freaks get +2 to their movement. They still add +1 to advance rolls. However, they no longer get +1 to charge rolls. They also maintain their ability to advance and fire assault weapons without. But that's a pretty big hit to them. They're still really good. Their Warlord trait is amazing. Faster Than Use is during the command phase, select 1 Evil Sons core unit within 6, and they can charge even if they advanced or fell back this turn. So that's definitely a really nice tactical upgrade that you can do for them. We've got Drive by Daca, which is their stratagem, which lets you, after you shoot with the Speed Freaks unit, you can move them again. So for 1 command point, they get jump, shoot, jump. Yeah. Which is amazing. Fire and Fade from Eldar, for instance, 2 command points usually. Really good. And then the Red Mecha's Red of Paint, also awesome. Gets +2 to the bearer's movement, and then also anything engagement with them gets Fight Blast, which is awesome. Just such a good utility.
Scared me so much I sneezed. It was good times.
Solid. So we got Snake Bites. Now Snake Bites arguably got like the best buffs of anybody. Like you like I think Snake Bites are a really great clan to choose, especially if you're going to double down on the Squig units. They kind of go with the new Beast Snaggers pretty well. So they get Transhuman Physiology, so an unmodified 1 through 3 doesn't wound them as long as the attack comes from Strength 8 or lower, which is great.
Mm-hmm.
It's not as good on like a Toughness 5 model, but it's still very good. And then there's Squig units. Whenever they make a melee attack, if they made a charge move or heroic intervene, they get to add +1 to wound. And that's on like all their attacks. So the Squig Hog Boys, I mean, they get a whole boatload of attacks with +1 to wound, which is very powerful. Their Warlord trait is basically Gulliman's deal. So when they die on a 4+, they get back up. They only get D3 wounds left, but still pretty solid. Mystic Chanting is a 1 command point strat that lets you use a unit and deny the witch with it.
Nice.
Yeah, that's kind of cool. I mean, they still have to roll to try to deny the power, but it's an extra way for them to potentially stop something really good. And then we have Brog's Buzz Bomb. John, you remember this one from the last book?
I do. It was pretty good last book.
Yeah, you came up with a pretty good combo with it, actually, that I hadn't seen like people use before with the Mech Workshop.
I did?
Yeah. So you did, you did.
I
Impressing
did.
people.
Oh yeah. I don't remember the exacts, but man, I was super clever when I did it.
So basically, the old mech workshop lets you max out the shots for a weapon if you didn't shoot, and so you could park your dude there with that, charge up his buzz bomb, and then throw it for 18 shots.
There's nothing I want to do more in this world than try and make fortifications have a point, and which is much harder than it seems.
Yeah, no, I hear you. Yeah, it's not good now. It's just got a 6-inch range, and you can target units that aren't visible to the bearer. So it's got that going for it. Yeah. But it does hit on 2s, which is kind of cool.
Great, you can kill something out of charge range. That's super useful.
Yeah, it's really good for an army that likes to fight. But then after you shoot with it, each unit within 6 inches takes a mortal wound.
So I can see that being useful for like buffing characters that so often follow these units around.
Totally.
But even then, that's only like 1 wound, so maybe it weakens it. It's not like you can bracket a character, so it takes him down to 3 wounds.
Yeah, and you know what? Maybe they don't want to. Maybe they don't want to remove the guy closest to you to stop your charge, because it's going to make the dude who throws it take a mortal wound.
Yeah. Yeah. Still not as good, but it sure is a relic.
Yeah, it is a relic. Thank you, John. That's a great way to. Then we've got Death Skulls. Death Skulls changed quite a lot. They're no longer like the absolute best clan, but they're still very good. So they have Lucky Blue Gits. Each time a unit with this culture shoots or fights, you can reroll it to hit or to wound, not both. And they got rid of the damage roll that they got to reroll as well. They also get a 5+ ignore mortal wounds, which before they got a 6-up invul, so that's also probably less good. Finally, they did get to keep this though. Infantry units with this culture gain objective secured,
which is super good.
Still very powerful, especially on units like Storm Boys that can move 18 inches automatically.
Commandos,
objectives, or commandos, or Mega Knobs. All those units are still pretty solid. The Warlord trait is Opportunist. You can ignore Lookout Sir for characters within 12 inches of you. And each time an enemy vehicle is destroyed within 6 inches of the Warlord, you get a command point. It seems very situational. I don't think this is a really great one. Their stratagem is still Rekkas. So this one is use a stratagem at the start of your shooting or fight phase, like the Dead Skull's core or character. They get +1 to wound against a vehicle model. That's not bad. And then Fixer Uppers is each time it's not for a Death Skull's mech or big mech. Each time they use their mechanic or big mechanic ability, roll a d6 on a 2+. The vehicle, it regains an additional wound. And you can select one enemy vehicle unit within 12 inches of the bearer, and they take d3 mortal. So I guess like they maybe like pry up a bullet and like fling it at the other vehicle.
I think the mech just uses his long arms to strip parts off of enemy vehicles very far away.
It's a micro teleport.
Oh yeah,
it teleports the bad stuff out of your vehicle and into theirs. We've got Blood Axes next. Blood Axes kept almost exactly the same rules. So if you're over 18 inches away and you shoot at them, they get light cover. And they're eligible to shoot or declare a charge with, but not both, in a turn in which they fell back. So really solid clan trait, and gives the ability to kind of really put your guys where they need to be. It's got the Warlord trait. I've got a Plan Lads, which is a 3-unit redeploy, and you can also put them into strategic reserves without having to spend any command, which is pretty nice. Got Dead Sneaky as their strat. Use this stratagem at the end of your movement phase. If you're using strategic reserve, select one Blood Axe infantry unit that is within 3 inches of any battlefield edge, and place them back in strategic reserve. So it's only one model has to be within 3. Like, it doesn't have to be the whole unit. And you can kind of like teleport a unit of 30 boys around the table like that. That's kind of a neat ability, especially for only one.
For sure.
Then you've got Morgog's Finken Cap, which is their relic, which used to be like you got a Warlord trait with it or something like that, or an extra Warlord trait. Now it is at the start of your command phase, if the bear is on the battlefield, roll d6 on a 4+, you get Yeah, not bad. Freebooters are mostly this, like their trait is the same, relatively speaking, except there's no range component to it. It used to be if a unit killed an enemy unit within 24 inches, or like if one of your units killed an enemy unit, all your friendly units within 24 inches of that unit got +1 to hit. Now it's just table wide, which is pretty solid. The Warlord trait is Kill a Reputation, which is one enemy units within 3 inches, subtract 1 from their leadership characteristics, and subtract 1 from combat attrition tests. And freebooters within 6 get +1 to leadership. It's pretty bad. Yeah.
A lot of the ones like the recently we've seen with like that affects combat attrition or affects morale are not great.
Yeah, I was really hoping that those were going to be more powerful and prevalent. We'll see. I don't think we've really seen a faction other than like maybe Drukhari where you can really stack a bunch of the leadership modifiers. But like, since like the competitive community is so concentrated on MSU and 5-man units, like it doesn't really come up that much, unfortunately. Their stratagem is Get the Loot. Use this in the command phase. Select a freebooter infantry unit until the start of your next command phase. They get OBSEC.
Nice.
Which is pretty cool. Yeah. And then you've got the Bad Skull Bana, which is the relic. You can put it on a vehicle model. Enemies within 6 inches lose OBSEC. So the kind of play between those two is pretty powerful because you don't score primary until the end of your command phase. So there's kind of a way for you to like nuke somebody off of an objective and then like be on an objective with somebody else and then automatically claim it.
Yeah, you take away their OBSEC and you gain OBSEC, and then all of a sudden it's like a 5-10 point swing.
Then things are a little different. So next we have the specialist mobs. Now these are different than the oh no, never mind. I'm talking about the same thing. So a specialist mob is an upgrade that you can give to a unit. And basically they lose their clan culture but gain another ability instead, or abilities. There's some really great ones in here. They also don't break your detachment command abilities, so you get to keep like all of your clan cultures. So you got Pyromaniacs, and they give you a list of all the things. Basically anything with like fire. Also knobs and war bosses. Pretty much all of these can be taken by some kind of knobs or a war boss or something like that. So kind of an interesting thing here. So anytime you shoot with one of their flamer weapons, a burner weapon effectively, if you roll less than 3 attacks, you automatically do 3. So min 3 on all your flamers is pretty cool.
Yep.
Boom Boys, this is for things with explosive weapons. Anytime you shoot a weapon with a blast ability, improve the AP by 1, which is nice. That'll take like on your tank busters. That'll make all your rocket launches AP 3.
Seems good on the Def Copters too.
Yeah, Def Copters get a lot of shots on that. You've got Flyboys, which is basically anything that's a plane, but also Def Copters. And if you target a ranged attack targets a flyby unit, if the attacker is more than 6, then you get the benefits of light cover. Big Krumpas. So this is for Def Dreads, Gorkanauts, Mega Armor Knobs, Mega Armor Characters, or Morkanauts. You get to get +1 to hit in melee.
That's really good.
It's pretty solid.
Good old claw Gork action.
Yeah, exactly. I was also thinking like this is really good for like super heavy auxiliary detachment. Because you're not going to get your clan culture anyway from that, so you might as well take it. You might as well take one of these instead. Oh, never mind. You can't take it on super heavy auxiliary detachment.
Oh, it's time to take just a bunch of Gorkanauts.
Take 3. One of them can be a big Krumpa.
The rest, not so much.
Not so much. They have to take the clan trait. You got Mad Boys. This is for biker cavalry character or mob units, so like basically everything except for vehicles. They get to roll a d3 and get a bunch of random effects. So 6-inch consolidation, reroll 1 to hit or to wound roll, or +1 strength. Yeah, that's random. If you want to do that, that's cool. I don't think it's very good.
Just orc possessed.
Yeah, kind of. Except worse in a myriad of ways.
There's nothing like setting up for this amazing tactical play when you're going to make a 6-inch pylon move, only to get +1 strength.
On the plus side, you can get a 6-inch pylon move on a bunch of different units just because of the nature of they have a stratagem that does that pretty good.
Spoilers.
But we'll get to that later. Yeah, spoilers. Sorry. I'm sorry if I ruined this review for you. If I did, turn it off.
This book is fresh off the press. No one has seen any content from this.
Yeah, nobody definitely got this like a month, more than a month ago, and has been like playing with it. Let's see. We've got sneaky gets, which is boys, commandos, knobs, or war bosses. Anytime they get benefits of cover, anytime they make a melee attack, if the target gets cover, so it doesn't matter if it's like dense or heavy cover or whatever. Like it doesn't matter. They'll get +1 AP. That's okay. Truck Boys. Truck Boys is probably the one that you'll see the most. So this is a boys, knob, or war boss unit. A Truck Boys unit can disembark from a truck, even if that truck has made a normal move this phase. So that's awesome. So you can move and disembark, which is amazing. Like that increases the speed so much. And if they're embarked on a truck, each time the truck makes a ranged attack, it gets +1 hit. That's pretty meh. The important part here is that you get to move a truck and then drop 10 boys and maybe a war boss out of it, because you can make the war boss a truck boy, and they all get to charge. So that's incredibly powerful.
Isn't the important thing right now, though, that technically they can't go in the truck?
Let's not talk about that. I think that's it's. Don't pay attention to that. If you're watching this in the future, I'm sure Games Workshop has fixed that issue. Fingers crossed.
2202. You said that.
Yeah.
Taking the timestamp of the video.
Yeah, quote me on that for sure, please. And then finally, we have Orbital Gets, and this is for Gretchen that have been hanging out in the latrines, and they smell so bad that they get obsec.
Wait, is that the real? Oh, yeah, that is. They're covered in poo.
They're covered in poo.
So they get obsec.
And any unit, excluding run herds within 3 inches, are -1 to hit, or -1 to hit with range attacks because they stink.
So my Death Guard, I get 2 obsec units. These people just roll in poop. Obsec. Cool.
Right. Yep. Just so you know. To be fair, John, Orks only get 2 obsec units too.
I want. I just want the writer conversation to be like, hey, I got the Gretchen special unit done. What did it do? It rolled around in poo and it's so stinky that no one wants to stand beside it, so it's obsec.
Like, hey,
go
you know
home,
what? It's awesome. You know what? If you had units that rolled around in poo,
I do.
Oh yeah.
Truly, the entire army.
Just kidding. Anyway, so custom jobs.
They're so custom.
In each detachment, you can have 1 custom job. Yes. Yep. It costs points. The specialist mobs don't. These actually cost points, and they can only be given to a vehicle in a unit of 1. So if you put these on the buggies and things like that, you can only have 1 buggy that's upgraded, not the whole buggy unit like it used to be, which is fine. So we've got Dabuma, which upgrades a wagon model, so usually the gun wagon. It makes his kill cannon heavy 2d6, strength 8, -2 damage. So it gets double shots. Fortress on wheels for a truck or a wagon gets a 5-up invul save, which is kind of nice. You've got the gyroscopic whirligig for a shock jump dragster. When it does its super teleport move, it doesn't take any mortal wound. Yeah, it's not bad. You've got the More Daca vehicle upgrade. It's for any vehicle. Each time this model shoots, roll a d6. On a 4+, make an extra attack. On a 6, make 2 extra attacks with each Daca weapon that it's equipped with. It's a lot of shots. You got Nitro Squigs. This is for Rucka Truck Squig Buggy. This is seen pretty often with a unit of 1, although we'll see if it continues to be used. I feel like maybe more Rucka Truck Squig Buggies is better than just paying the points for the Nitro Squigs. Anyway, this gives +1 to wound on the heavy Squig launcher, and also the regular Squig launcher. So yeah, they get nitrous infused Squigs and shoot those at people, which sounds safe, but you know it works. You got the Red Rolla, which is an upgrade for a Bone Breaker. Instead of getting plus D6 attacks when it charges, it gets plus D3 plus 3 attacks, which is a nice little benefit. And that's like 6. It's like 9 plus D3 attacks for this model, which is a lot. And they're like strength 9 and have multiple damage and that kind of thing. I've got the Shaka hull, so an electrified hull for any vehicle model. Each time an enemy unit selects this model as the target of any attacks in the fight phase, after those attacks have been resolved, roll 1d6 on a 4+, they take D3 mortal wound. Nope. Got souped up special.
that seems pretty good, but then it's like 15 points.
The Shaka hull?
Yeah.
Yeah, or 30 points if you give it to what is the
Wagons?
I'm trying to remember what the second value. Oh, yeah, power rating 10 or more.
Oh, okay.
So this is going to be like battle wagons. Also, well, I don't think battle wagons. I think mostly like Morkanauts and Gorkanauts, right? Which I don't know. That kind of makes sense, I guess. Or the Stompa. Anyway, so you've got the souped up special, which is for a Boom Daca Snaz wagon, and changes the model's mech special to Daca 16 or 12, which is a lot of shots. I want to say that's like 20% upgrade in the number of shots it gets, because that thing does get like a crap ton of shots now.
And it's only a 10-point upgrade to get that crap ton of shots.
Yeah, which is not bad. Okay, never mind. Okay, so it's 14/10. So it's like a 10% upgrade in the number of shots, something like that, which is still great. For 10 points, that's not bad. Squig hide tires. This is for any vehicle models except for walkers and aircraft. Add 1 to the model's move characteristic. Okay, that's cool. And whenever it advances, add an extra 2. Yeah, that's nice. That's not bad at all. Stompomatic pistons. This is for Deft Treads, Workanauts, and Morkanauts. Add plus 3 inches to the model's move characteristic and add 1 to advance rolls for this model. I think that's awesome, especially on a Morkanaut or Gorkanaut. It does cost 30 points to upgrade your thing to that, but I think the speed increase, like going to like a 12-inch move, I think is what it does.
Which makes them way more survivable, right? It's going to get into combat sooner.
Right, because they're like just faster. Then we also have mech custom jobs, and so these upgrade units, and it's either a flat point cost or a point cost per model. So you've got the Bionic Oiler. You can use your Grotto Oiler twice instead of once for 10 points. So hard pass. Enhanced Run Sucka. This is for the Shock Attack Gun. This changes it from attacks D6 to attacks 2D3. If you're going to take the Shock Attack Gun, I think this is a gimme. You should take this every single time. The increase to just your like shooting at expensive single models is hugely beneficial, because you go from 3.5 to 4, and I know that doesn't sound like a lot, but on a model that hits on a 4+, like that's really solid.
Yeah,
you should definitely consider that. You've got the extra custom weapon. This lets you make a model equipped with a custom Mega Slugger or Mega Blaster only. Each time this model shoots with its custom Mega Slugger or Blaster, it makes 1 additional attack roll with that weapon. That's cool. Smoky Gubbins is for a Spanner model. If they remain stationary, they get the benefit of light cover. So this is for Ludas and Burna Boys. Don't take this one. Take this one instead. The Zap Krumpas. So this is a model again with a Spanna. Each time a model in this unit makes a melee attack, an unmodified roll of 6 inflicts 1 mortal wound on the target.
Oh,
in addition to normal damage.
It's really good.
Yeah, it's solid, especially with the amount of attacks that Orc units get. That's very good. So the Zap Krumpas on Burna Boys, I think is worthwhile. Definitely consider that. Okay. Next, we've got some stratagems. Orcs have lots of strats, which is great. Well, I mean, they have a decent amount of strats. Their strats are pretty good overall, I would say. There are some obviously that are winners, and some that are losers. I've seen a lot of Orc lists that are pretty low on command points, and they just don't care about that, and they're kind of just trying to go for pure killing power. But we'll talk about that once we get to the data sheets, or maybe towards the end of the review here. So we've got Kareen. This is when an orc vehicle model that's not within engagement range dies. You can move it 6 inches and then it explodes, which is pretty cool. So you can either save part of your army, or you can use it to careen into the enemy and explode, which is both of those are great. If it's a Wagon or Titanic model, it costs 2 command points instead of 1. That's because those do like D6 mortal wounds, so it's way more valuable.
Can you use that if you're moving your transport to position your guys better for when they disembark?
Yeah, sure. I think yeah, totally, you can do that. But I mean, yeah, it's a benefit, right? But it's like the idea of kind of basing any kind of battle plan on that is pretty slim because they're still only blowing up on a 6.
Sure.
Like, so it has to be destroyed and explode and be outside of engagement range.
So you're saying there's a chance?
Yeah, there is a chance. Hey, it's orcs, guys. Just be like Seth and roll out of 6s. You'll do fine. So we've got Get Stuck In, lads, which is use a stratagem in the fight phase when a boys or beast snagging unit is selected to fight. They get to pile in and consolidate an extra 3 inches. If you contains 10 or fewer models, it's 1 command point. Otherwise, it costs 2. This is an awesome stratagem. This is amazing. Especially a 30-man boys or 20-man beast snagging unit that gets to consolidate 6 inches is such a big deal. That's an extra 12 inches. That's an extra 6 inches total of movement on top of the 6 inches that you're normally getting. So you're getting potentially a 12 inches worth of movement out of a squad for 2 command points is very powerful. This is also really good on beast snaggers, particularly because they have another stratagem that we'll talk about that lets them make models not able to fall back on a 4+. So potentially you can do kind of some snag in there of your enemy and keep them in combat.
Boo.
Don't boo me.
Boo. I heard what you did.
Yeah. You're welcome. We've got ramming speed, 2 command points. Use this in the strat. This is the same as it was before. It's a great stratagem. 2 command points for a 3d6 inch charge on a vehicle unit, especially if you put them into deep strike, the teleporter stratagem, or they're coming in from strategic reserve, or just they've made it across the table and they're ready to charge 3d6 inches. Plus, you also get mortal wounds on top of it. Amazing. You got crazy gun show-offs, and this is for a flash gets unit. At the end of your shooting phase, you get to shoot them again, but they have to shoot the closest eligible unit instead of whomever they want. Yeah, that's great for 2 command points. If you're taking flash kits, solid. I mean, I'm a huge flash kits nerd, so like I always love that unit. But this is if you're gonna run them, you're probably gonna use this stratagem at some point in time. You got Hit 'em Harder, which is for a Mega Knobs unit. You get to add +1 damage to their power saws or their kill saws or power claw attacks.
Pretty good.
Yep. Still good. And like all of these strats, and you'll probably notice this, are usually like 2 command points. Like they don't have a lot of 1 command point stratagems, unless they're in the army building phase. So I think you want to have a decent amount of command points in orcs, but I know that you're gonna burn through them really fast. You've got Tough as Squig Hides. This is for beast Naga infantry, cavalry, or monster units. They get transhuman. So that's very good, especially if your opponent is stacked on like a bunch of +1 to wound rolls and stuff like that. You can put this on your beast boss on Squigosaur and laugh at them. I know I am. You've got Breaking Heads. So this is when a morale test is taken and failed for a clan unit within 3 inches of any war boss or knobs unit. The clan unit takes D3 mortal wounds and then passes the test instead. Yep, yeah. That's great. It's basically you can do this as many times as you want, and for the cost of D3 mortal wounds, you get an auto pass, which is normally something you only get once per game.
That's fair.
So it's not bad, and it being able to be used by knob units onto other units instead is nice too, because you don't have to have a war boss there all the time. Because as we'll talk about, war bosses are hard to come by. You've got Orcs is Never Beaten. This is basically a character fight on death, and they can't have already fought that phase for 2 command points. You've got the Bigger They Is, which is for a Beast Naga war boss unit. Each time they attack a Titanic unit, add 2 to the damage characteristic of the attack, which is pretty cool. You can upgrade, like, your normal 2 damage weapon to a 4 damage weapon, or if you're taking more Zog or whatever, he can be up like a 5 damage weapon or something like that. Yeah, it's pretty good. Extra gubbins. You've got extra relics, big boss for extra warlord traits. Again, you can use these 1, 2, or 3 times depending on the size of the battle. For a normal game, a Strike Force game, you're going to be able to use these each twice. You've got Tide of Muscle, which is an Orks core unit. Whenever they charge, you can ignore all modifiers to that charge. That's pretty cool. It's pretty good against Death Guard, I think, or like units because they can throw the -2.
Yeah, it's good against inexorable, and then also just the way table density is right now, craters and kind of things like that. It makes it super helpful.
Woods.
So, I know I've been able to be pretty defensive and hidden stuff behind craters, behind woods, knowing that you have to go over that code to me, and now for 1 CP, doesn't matter.
Yep, that's a great strat. You got the unstoppable momentum for the knob on Smash with Squig whenever it finishes a charge move. If there are no enemy models within engagement range, it gets to charge again. So it does mortal wounds on the charge. You roll like 5 dice, and every 4+ it does a mortal wound. So there is a chance that if you charge like a small unit, or like there's 1 Marine left in the squad, and you pop this strat. After he charges, you roll your dice, try and get a couple of 4s, pop him, and then charge somebody else and do even more mortal wounds. So I think that's a totally cool strat. Grot Shields is a lot different. So basically, Grot Shields, what it does is it gives your Grots like a 6-inch bubble of bodyguard as long as they're visible to the shooting enemy unit. So as long as the Grots or the Gretchen infantry is within 6 inches of the unit and closer and visible, you have to shoot the Gretchen before you can shoot the Ork unit. So this is kind of one of these moves where you shove 10 Gretchen out in front of your army, like out of cover, and you say, okay, well, if you're gonna try and shoot this unit that's important to me behind them, you're first gonna have to kill these 10 Grots, or 20 Grots, or whatever it is. So I think that's not terrible. It's not great because Gretchen are pretty bad, but it's playable.
Do you see something similar to this rule happening with Tau with drones?
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I don't know. I don't want to speculate on that because I feel like that needs like a total rework. So if that's the way the drones are going to work, that's fine. It'll definitely be interesting to see exactly how they work. I hope they don't get something like bodyguard or something like that. I think that would be pretty obnoxious. No. Yeah.
You're the 5th time my friends bought a Tau army.
Oh, really? Oh, okay. We've got Teleporter. So this is any non-monster Ork unit with power rating 12 or less. They go into effectively reserves, and you can put them anywhere on the table 9 inches outside of the enemy for 2 command points. It's pretty good. There's no limit on the number of times that you can use the stratagem, so you can use it as much as you want. We've got Lumbering Strides. So this is for uses in the charge phase. When you use Here We Go to reroll a charge for a Morkanaut, Gorkanaut, or Stompa, and you can reroll 1 of the dice instead of both of the dice, which is a pretty cool ability. It's like getting Here We Go back to what it was before.
Well, what's really cool about that is if you're trying to make multiple charges that turn, then you can save your command point reroll.
Absolutely.
For another unit.
Well, Orks don't have to save the command point reroll because everything in their army gets to reroll charges.
So then ignore me because then I'm dumb about it. But we'll pretend what I said was.
It just matters like if you roll a charge and you have a 6, right? And then you're like, okay, well, I'd much rather just keep the 6 and reroll the other dice.
That's fair. That's worth 1 CP.
Yeah, it's only one command point, so that's good. Burn them all. So this is when a Burn Obama makes a Scorcher Missile attack. Each other unit within 3 inches of the targeted unit with Scorcher Missiles takes a mortal wound. Yeah, okay. Monster Hunters. Select 1 enemy vehicle or monster and up to 3 Beast Naga units. Each time an attack is made by a model in one of the selected Beast Naga units that targets a selected monster or vehicle unit, +1 to wound. This is pretty cool against something like a Kronos unit. That has a lot of wounds, or a big Titanic unit, and you really need to gang up on it to do some damage. This is a good way to make sure that happens. +1 to wound is pretty good. 2 command points is a lot, but this is still solid. You got Cut and Flames. This basically lets 1 Burnaboy unit from your army in combat. They just get AP -2 on their close combat attacks. So really good. It basically lets them turn their burners into close combat mode, which is not something they can normally do anymore without the stratagem. You've got more Daca. Until the end of the phase, Daca weapons in that unit are considered to be within half range for determining the number of attacks they get. This is like basically gives like 50% extra shots to a unit, which is pretty nice. 2 command points is a lot though, but you do get it at the full range of the unit. So if you need to use it, it's a tool that you have in your toolbox.
Big unit of Warbikers, I'm assuming, loves that one.
Yeah. I think that's probably the best target, or Ludas. Because Ludas go up to 3 shots each and in their full range, so that's pretty good. You've got Cloud of Smoke. So this select a Speed Freaks vehicle unit from your army until the end of the phase. While a friendly Speed Freaks vehicle unit is within 6 inches of the selected unit, they become -1 to hit from ranged attacks. Not bad. You use that at the start of your opponent's shooting phase. So just a way that you can kind of cover a large amount of your army with a -1 bubble, with a -1 to hit bubble. You've got Tank Buster Bombs, which is like a bunch of different Ork units, like Ork Boys. I think also Commandos have it. Obviously, Tank Busters have it. You make 1 attack with 1 model, but if it hits, it does 2d3 mortal wounds to the vehicle. So it's kind of like Melta Bombs. Snagger Grapple is what we talked about. Select 1 Beast Snagger Boys unit from your army. Each time an enemy unit, excluding Titanic units, is within engagement range and selected to move, roll a d6 on a 4+, they cannot fall back. That affects vehicles. That affects anything that's non-Titanic. So you can really tie up especially if you use that previous stratagem where you get to consolidate an extra 3 inches and pile in an extra 3 inches. You can pile into so much stuff in their army and just like make sure that you roll 1 4+, and that unit then can't be shot at. So that's pretty baller. You've got Ground Shaker Shells. Whenever you shoot an Evi Lava, which is the thing on the new kill rig, if you score a hit against a target that's not Titanic and can't fly until the start of your next movement phase, have their move characteristic and subtract 2 from advance and charge rolls made for the unit. So they get Thunderfire Cannon, like Tremor Shells. But again, you got to hit on a 5+ with a weapon that doesn't have that many shots. So it's possible that you'll just screw it up, which is what I would do. And then finally, the last stratagem, we got Force Field Booster. So use this at the start of your opponent's shooting phase. Select 1 model in your army that has a custom force field. Until the end of the turn, replace the custom force field's ability with Aura. While a friendly Ork unit is within 9 inches of the bear, just 1 model, not the whole unit. Models in that unit have a 5+ invulnerable save. And at the end of the turn, the custom force field overloads and cannot be used for the rest of the battle. Note that this doesn't say until the end of the shooting phase. It says until the end of the turn. So this is a way that you can potentially get a 5+ invulnerable save on your models in combat, which is pretty nice. All right. John, we got Warlord Traits next.
We do.
You know what Orks have a lot of?
Warlord Traits.
Warlord
I
Traits.
see at least 12.
Yeah, there's 12 Warlord Traits.
Oh.
So you've got... Yep, you did a good job. You can count.
I didn't even count the clan culture ones, so
I'm proud of you. Yeah, there's like I think there's like 20 Warlord Traits. So we have Follow Me Lads, which is an aura. An aura of whenever the war boss or warlord makes a charge move until the end of the turn, each time a friendly clan Orks unit declares a charge against an enemy unit, that's when within an engagement range of the warlord, get +1 to charge. So if he charges in first, your other guys makes it easy to charge them in. I don't like this one.
no.
Then we've got it's too circumstantial.
Let's charge my war boss into a wall of flamers so the boys will have an easier time to get in.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I'll take these flamers for the boys. I'm fine. I have a Big Gob, which adds +3 inches to the range of the warlord's aura abilities to a maximum of 9.
That I'm a bigger fan of. Well, it's better than please charge into this wall of pain so that the boys can maybe go an inch extra.
Please overwatch me.
No, overwatch me, Daddy, is Warlord Trait 1.
We've got Art as Nails, which is each time an attack that is made that targets warlord, subtract 1 from the attack's wound roll. This warlord trait is freaking amazing. That's gross. That's so powerful, especially on something like a Squigosaur, or even the normal war bosses are still like toughness 6, or war boss on a warbike is toughness 7. Like, it's an awesome warlord trait. That's a great one. Brutal but cunning. Each time the Warlord fights, if all of its attacks target one enemy unit, after resolving all those attacks, it can make a number of additional attacks against that enemy unit equal to the number of attacks that did not reach the inflict damage step of the attack sequence during that fight. So, in plain English, what this means is that if your Warlord fails an attack, like either in the to hit, the to wound, or they save it, you get to make the attack again. So really good on a model with a lot of attacks. It's great on like a war boss on Squigosaur. I really like that. I really like that one. You've got cunning but brutal. In the fight phase, if the Warlord is within range of enemy units, it can fight first. Yeah, that's okay. And then finally, we got Might is Right at +1 to the Warlord strength and attack characteristics. Yeah, just makes them hit a little bit harder. That's not bad. Next, we've got the Beast Snagger Warlord traits. We've got the Big Killer Boss. If it's an engagement range of any vehicle or monster units, it gets +2 attacks. Nice. And if it makes a melee attack against a vehicle or monster unit, give him +1 to wound. Nice. Yep. That's pretty good. Makes him a little bit of a vehicle hunter. Although the normal war boss, like on, just keep in mind this is Beast Naga Warlord traits only. So this is going to be the war boss on Squigosaur or the Knob on the Ram Swig. So it's like they don't have super great strength. I don't know that you want to make him into try and make him into a dedicated vehicle hunter. I'm not sure that's a great choice. We've got Beast Gob. While a friendly clan Squig unit is within 6 inches of the Warlord, each time a model in that unit makes a melee attack with Squig Hog Jaws, Smash a Squig Jaws, or Squigosaurus Jaws, add +1 to that attack's damage characteristic. I think this is awesome. I love abilities that boost your other models rather than your war boss himself, or Warlord himself. So I think this one's dope. I really like this on a Smash a Squig, a Knob on Smash a Squig, using the Big Boss stratagem to give him Warlord trait. I think it's really solid. And then finally, we've got Half Chewed. If you're in engagement range of an enemy character or monster unit, each time this model would lose a wound on a 4+, it doesn't lose one. So 4+ feel no pain when you're fighting monsters and monsters or characters. Yes, not bad. Finally, we have the Speed Freaks Warlord traits. We've got Roadkiller. This is each time he makes a charge move, and select one enemy unit within an inch and roll d6 on a 2+ to take d3 mortals. Cool.
That's really good.
Yeah, as you can see, there's a lot of ways that you can do extra mortal wounds. You've got Get Up in Their Faces. The Warlord is eligible to shoot in a turn in which they fell back. I don't know. I don't like that one very much. And then Junk Boss. This Warlord has a 4+ invulnerable save. That's pretty cool. I like that one.
You only make 50% of those though.
Yeah, if you're not an Orc player, if you're an Orc player, you should make all of them. All right, so we've got Power of the Wa discipline. So this is for Weird Boys, and then we also have the Beast Head discipline, which is for the Wur Boys. If that's not confusing to you, I'm just kidding. These are both really fun. Like the Beast Head discipline is obviously for like the Beast Naga Psychers,
obviously,
and the Kill Rig, and then the Power of the Wa discipline is for Weird Boys. So we've got Edbanga. It's a Witchfire. Select an enemy unit within 18 inches of the Psyker and roll a d6. If you roll higher than their toughness, they take d6 mortal wounds. But no more than one model can be destroyed by this. So this is like a character targeting attack.
It's okay.
Which is fine. Like if you're playing against Guard or Eldar or something else with a bunch of toughness 3 characters, like this is pretty good power. You got Warpath. Warp Charge 6. Select one friendly clan core character unit within 18 inches of the Psyker. They get +1 attack. Cool. On a big unit, that's a lot of extra attacks. The Jump. I don't feel like I have to explain this. Take a unit, re-deep strike it on the table. It's amazing. It's always been one of the best psychic powers that Orcs have. It's kind of one of their signature playstyle moves. You're going to consistently see this all the time. Also, this one is going to be one that you'll see all the time, which is Fists of Gork. Warp Charge 6. Select an Orc character model within 12 inches of the Psyker and invisible to them. Until the start of your next psychic phase, add +2 to the model's strength and attack characteristic. And if the psychic test was 11 or more, add +3 instead.
Can you combo Warpath and Fists of Gork?
Yeah, sure.
Because that seems gross.
Yeah, you could do that on one character to give him potentially +4 strength, +3 attack, or +3 strength, +4 attacks. That's like 10 attacks on your standard war boss. Plus, you get an extra attack for WA. Don't forget that, and maybe extra attacks for your Warlord Trait or Relic. Yeah, okay. As you can see, the war bosses are pretty gross. They do a lot of damage.
And that's only Warp Charge 6. Yeah, both of them are Warp Charge 6, so probably pretty reliably going off too.
Yeah, for sure. Warp Charge 6 is easy to get off. You've got the Crunch, which is a 18-inch Witchfire. Select an enemy unit within 18 inches. Roll 1d6 for each model of the unit. On a 6, they take a mortal wound. If the result of the psychic test was 9 or more, add +1 to the rolls. So the problem with the way that this is worded is it just said for each roll of a 6. So if it becomes a 7, like, it doesn't actually work. So this probably needs a little bit of a FAQ. It should be 6+. Yeah, otherwise it makes sense.
If you're Warp Charge 10, you actually actively are unable to do any damage with the power.
You just suck at life and you have to wait for an FAQ. Then you've got Jabbing Fingers.
Love it.
Yeah. Not just a film that you would find at the CD theater at the end of the street in the middle of the city. With a bunch of guys in trench coats coming out. It's a little bit different than that. It's a malediction. You select an enemy unit within 18 inches invisible to the Psyker.
Right.
Until the start of your next psychic phase, they get -1 hit. It's actually not bad.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, then we got Beast Head this one. So these are all new. These are all new powers. You can be excited about them. I think that there's some that are kind of cool. They're almost all damage powers. No, you can't. No. Unbelievable, John. So you've got the Roar of Mork, which is Warp Charge 6. Select a unit within 18 inches invisible to the Psyker until the start of your next turn. Until the start of your next psychic phase, subtract 2 from advance and charge rolls to that unit. That's awesome. Because 18 inches and being able to do that is a huge range. Like, that really affects where they can go and what they can do. And then until the start of your next psychic phase, when enemy units within 18 inches of the Psyker, subtract 1 from their leadership characteristic. Cool. Frazzle, Warp Charge 6. If manifested, roll 1d6 for each enemy unit that's within 9 inches of the Psyker. On a 4+, they take d3 mortal wounds. This is okay on, like, the kill rig.
Yeah, I was going to say,
just because it has such a big base.
Bunch of stuff charging into it or being around or near it.
Well, yeah, and it's going to be charging into stuff, I feel like. I feel like that's the way that thing works. Bite and Jaws, Warp Charge 6. Select one enemy unit within 18 inches invisible to the Psyker. Draw one line between any part of the Psyker's base and any part of the selected model's base or hull. The selected model's unit and each other unit that the line passed over takes a mortal wound. Pass. Spirit of Gork. It's a blessing. I hate these line powers. Like, they keep making these line powers and they don't do anything. They don't. I mean, it's such one mortal wound for all that effort. Like, why am I don't know.
You got to use the official Citadel range stick, which is
8 inches wide. But don't worry, John. It still does 1 mortal wound.
Hey,
sorry if I sound salty. Like, it's just
in a men's squad meta right now, Danny. It's
I hate those. I hate powers like that.
You can kill half a Space Marine of squad. Spirit of Gork.
All right, Spirit of Gork, which is Warp Charge 6. Select one Squig unit within 12 inches invisible to the Psyker. Until the start of your next psychic phase, each time they fight, they can make 1 additional attack with each of Big Chompa's Jaws. Specifically, Big Chompa's Jaws, Squig Hog Jaws, Smash a Squig Jaws, or the Squigosaurus Jaws that is it equipped with. Each time the unit makes an attack with Big Chompa's Jaws, Squig Hog Jaws, Smash a Squig Jaws, or Squigosaurus Jaws, on an unmodified wound roll of 6, it inflicts 1 mortal wound in addition to normal damage. Hell yeah. I'm all about that. That combined with that Warlord trait, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Be Sent, Warp Charge 5. All right, we're off to a good start here already, right? Yep. Select an enemy unit within 18 inches of the Psyker. Until the start of your next psychic phase, that enemy unit does not receive the benefits of cover made by beast snagger units in your army.
Oh, that was so close. I got excited.
You were excited by Warp Charge 5, and then you were
I got excited by Warp Charge
what
5, then 18-inch range. It was hitting all the buttons, and then it was like benefits of cover. Oh.
I wish my B Snagger units like got to shoot. Then we have the Squiggly Curse.
Yeah, Harry Potter and the Squiggly Curse.
Yeah, it's a great one. Actually, dude, there was an old fantasy character, Warzog the Prophet or whatever, and he got to turn people into squigs with his spells. That was cool. Warp Charge 7.
You're just making yourself sad that fantasy doesn't exist right now.
I know. I'm trying not to be sad. If manifested, select an enemy unit within 12 inches and roll 1d6 for each model in the unit to a maximum of 6 dice. Well, that's good. I mean, when we're looking at this, we're looking at MSU. We're probably not going to roll more than 6 dice anyway. For each result of a 4+, they take 1 mortal wound. Okay. That's like, if it's a 6-man unit, that's 3 mortal wounds. That's not bad. And then, if any models are destroyed by the psychic power, each other enemy unit within 6 inches takes a mortal wound.
Okay, so that part of it's better. I think
it's not bad. I think this is
a
fine
little
power.
high.
Yeah, and 12 inches is low, but
Snagger should be that close anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I would say you're 50-50 for doing 3 mortal wounds, and almost always you're going to do 2.
Mm-hmm.
So you're probably going to kill a model, and then make all the enemy units, not just any unit, take a mortal wound. Yeah, I think it's it's okay. Moving on.
Relics.
Baby, we got 1 page of relics.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah, son.
Because you have like 30 pages of upgrades and clans.
It's true. They really spent all of their character creation points in their ability to customize their characters instead of their ability to like bling them out. You know what? And it makes sense. Why would orcs have a bunch of relics? Like, that's not an orc thing. All right, so we got Super Cyborg Body, infantry model only, 4+ invul save, half damage.
Real good.
Hell yeah! Give me that one. I love it. We got that's so on infantry model only. So you're looking at a war boss or like another character. Yeah. This goes on a war boss, like particularly a mega armored war boss. It's pretty good on. Although the crushing armor, which we'll get to in a second, is a serious contender. So we got Head Wappa's Kill Choppa.
Back and better than ever.
Hell yeah! It's way better. So it's replaces a beast choppa, big choppa, or huge choppa only. So that's the weapon that the Squigosaur has. It's the big choppa, which a normal warboss can have, or the huge choppa, which the mega armored warboss can have. So this is a warboss only weapon. Or actually it could go on a knob on a Smash a Squig.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, strength times 2, -3, 2 damage. Okay, good start. I like that. Each time an attack is made with this weapon on an unmodified wound roll of 6, inflicts a mortal wound in addition to normal damage. Yeah, this is a great relic. I think that's very good.
Yeah.
You got the Crushing Armor, which is a mega armored model only. 4+ invul save. +1 to armor save. Well, wait a minute. What about my Bad Moon's armor? It has something else it does too? After the bearer makes a charge move, you can select 1 enemy unit within 1 inch and roll a d6 on a 2+ to take d3 mortal wounds. So it's like everything that armor has, but it's just better.
Yeah. And not clan locked.
Yeah. All right, so then we got the Kiloclaw. This was the seminal relic that you would see on every single orc war boss, right? Like, it was good. What changed in this relic, basically, is that it went from -3 AP to -4 AP, but it lost its ability to reroll 2 wound rolls. So it definitely took kind of a kick in the pants a little bit. The reroll 2 wound rolls is what made it so valuable against those targets. Also, losing the Warlord trait to give it +1 to damage when you're on the charge hurts as well. So it's still a no minus to hit power claw. So I mean, it's still good. It's just not as good as it was.
I was just going to take the Dead Shiny Shooter. I was a large fan of this as kind of a throwaway relic when you didn't really have a plan for anything else.
Yeah. So range 18, DACA 14/10, strength 5 -1, 2 damage. So it's a heavy bolter. It's like 5 heavy bolters strapped together to make a shooter that a dude uses. Yeah, that's cool. You've got you know what I would use this on, John? Is I would put it on a Wa Manor knob.
Mm-hmm.
Because he's got a custom shooter, and he could just hang out, and he's like probably not charging into combat a lot anyway, just shooting 10 heavy bolter shots randomly. Let's see if I can kill some guys.
Near him. He just throws a bunch of dice.
Yep. I got Scorched Git Bones. This is for a Psyker. It can be also taken by a Psychic Vehicle model. Keep that in mind. A cough, cough, kill rig. Each time the bearer attempts to manifest a Witchfire power, add 1 to the Psychic test. Okay, that's cool. Each time the bearer would lose a wound from suffering perils of the warp, roll d6 on a 4+, it's not lost.
It's okay.
Yeah, so no thanks.
I do like you keep saying Psyker vehicle, like think of kill rig like there was another option.
Well, maybe a Weird Boy tower is coming out or something. You never know.
I do. It's not 1 hour 30 seconds. Tag it.
Okay. We've got the Beast-Hide Mantle. This is for a Beast Naga model only. Add 1 to the bearer's attack characteristic. Okay, that's cool. And 5+ Feel No Pain, just generically. That's cool. That's a good relic. It's good on the Squigosaur. All right. Now we've got chapter approved rules here. These are the secondaries, John.
Yeah, and they're pretty good.
Yeah, they're not bad. I have trouble picking which one I would take. Like, I'm not going to build my army around any of these, I don't think. I think that these are just like, if the situation aligns itself and I feel like I can do it, I'm going to take it. So we got Stomp 'em Good. This is a No Mercy, No Respite secondary. You score victory points for the following. Score 3 victory points at the end of a battle round if the number of enemy units destroyed by melee attacks made by Ork units from your army is more than the number of friendly non-Gretchen units that were destroyed by melee attacks during this battle round. So if they're meleeing you, that's bad because you're going to be meleeing them and probably killing stuff. So that's good.
Yeah.
This one's not bad. And then score 1 additional victory point at the end of a battle round if the number of enemies destroyed by melee attacks made by Ork units is at least 2 and double or more than the number of friendly non-Gretchen units that were destroyed by melee attacks during this battle round.
Work okay in the MSU meta that we seem to be in.
Yeah, I think it's a total. That one's totally fine.
You have to worry about overkilling on it a little bit, but
yeah. You've got Get the Good Bits. If you select the secondary objective, then after both sides have finished deploying, starting with your opponent, the players alternate selecting objective markers that are not within any player's deployment zone to be Good Bits objective markers. Until 3 objective markers have been selected. If there's only 1 such objective marker, then only that objective marker is a Good Bits objective marker. Orks core units can perform the following action. Get to Good Bits. At the end of your movement phase, select 1 or more Ork core units that can start to perform this action. Each unit from your army that starts to perform this action must be in range of a different Good Bits objective marker. A unit cannot start this action while there are any enemy units within range of the same objective marker. The action is completed at the end of your next command phase, so you have to wait a whole turn. Provided at least 1 unit attempting that action is still within range of the Good Bits objective marker. Score 3 victory points for each unit that does that.
That seems real bad.
Yeah, I don't really like that one. Core means that it's not going to be characters, so you can't protect them in any way. I don't like this one.
It's locking to 1-2 objectives max, realistically, unless you're
a 6 objective mission, and then there's like 2 outside of your deployment zone, but there's only a couple of missions like that.
Yeah. And then just having to survive an entire turn of firing, and Orks are not durable.
Play it by ear. Like, if you see this objective and you can get a piece of terrain where it's very unlikely that an enemy unit is going to be able to shoot you, like you can hide behind a ruin and perform this action every turn or something like that, and like stay out of line of sight, it's probably not bad. Because if you just get 1 objective and do this, you'll get 15 points every turn, right?
Yeah.
No, hold on. So you score
12, right?
Turn 2, turn 3, turn 4, turn 5. It doesn't matter because you won't get to the next round.
So yeah, 12.
12.
2.
Yeah,
it's not great.
Not great. All right, the biggest and the best. If you select the secondary objective, you score 3 victory points at the end of each battle round. If for each of the following achieved by your Ork Warlord for a maximum of 5 victory points. An enemy monster or vehicle unit is destroyed by melee attacks made by the Warlord. Okay. An enemy character is destroyed by a melee attack made by this Warlord. If 5 or more enemy models are destroyed by attacks made by this Warlord. So it's by battle round, so if you can kind of stay stuck in and kill a bunch of stuff, you can probably get 5 points for this a couple of times. But you've got to stick your Warlord out there. He's only one model. If your opponent knows you can have this, like, they can just push and try and kill that Warlord, and then that stops this objective, like, right in the dirt. I mean, right? Do you agree with that?
So you score 3 victory points at the end of each battle round for each of the following. Oh, but it maxed out at 5, so yeah.
Right.
I guess if you're being hyper aggressive with it, I mean, it behooves something kind of that Beast Naga boss, where the transhuman, and you give it the relic, the Beast Hype Mantle, so it has like the 5-up invul or the 5-up feel no pain, extra attacks. But you have to go all in and super aggressive on this one guy. And if it pays off, you get 15. But it almost seems like a distraction secondary where, like, hey, you have to deal with this guy, otherwise he's going to score 15. While they're dealing with this guy that you're hiding and moving and trying to get around and get that, you're scoring your other secondaries, or you're shoring up primary or something like that.
Right.
I don't think it's great as an initial one. It's good for distraction. And it's good, again, if you think you can score it, great. Like, if you're coming up against some weak combat stuff or things you can't really shoot at it, great. But it's not fantastic.
I agree. The final one is Green Tide. At the start of the battle, divide the battlefield into 4 even quarters. There was some memes on this initially. Like, Games Workshop needs to kind of determine what exactly an even... Yeah, Tim, just stop.
Yeah.
Anyway, like, obviously it's 4 normal-sized quarters. It's, score 3 victory points at the end of each battle round if 2 or more battlefield quarters have Ork units from your army that contain 11 or more models wholly within them. Score 5 victory points if all 4 quarters have Ork units that contain 11 or more models wholly within them. So I think this is the only one that you could kind of build to, and this is only if you're taking large boys squads.
How big are
commandos?
Can you do, like, bigger than 10 on commandos?
No, I think you can only have max 10 on commandos.
Man. See, like, that makes it real hard. I think it pairs well with truck boys.
Yeah, you could have 12-man truck boy units.
You have 12-man truck boy, and you can get over the line really quick, and that gets you scoring earlier. Obviously, it's not sustainable while the bigger units kind of move up, so there's a way of doing it. I think out of the 4 of them, this one's probably the best choice.
Okay. I think I like Stomp 'em Good better than this one, but I agree that this one's not bad. Is not bad.
It goes
the other
with
unit
the general
that you can
game plan, really.
Yeah. If you're running a horde, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think this also works good with Storm Boys because you can have 15 Storm Boys in the unit, and they can move 18 inches. So that's a good way for you to kind of get across the table real fast.
Yeah. Real mixed bag.
Oh yeah.
Let me skip over here real quick. Isn't Crusade fun?
Yeah, Crusade is fun. You should definitely try it out. There's some cool stuff in here.
Look at these beautiful armies. Listen to the ASMR of me turning the page. Okay.
Anyway, you got to go back.
I don't want to.
Yeah, you have to.
Oh, fair.
Okay.
I went back.
Yep, thank you. So here we've got some of the main rules for the army. We've got that kind of explains clan keyword, what a Daca weapon is. Basically, if you're within half range, you get to use the first number. Otherwise, you use the second number. So it's like rapid fire, but usually not as good. And then you have the abilities. You've got Here We Go, which is reroll charge rolls, which is pretty much on everything in here. Ramshackle, if the attack has strength 8 or more, subtract 1 from the damage characteristic. You've got Mob Rule. If the unit is within 6 inches of clan mob units that are not under half strength, it also isn't considered under half strength, so it takes less combat attrition.
Then you rule that got ruined.
Well, it's a pretty crappy podcast, so I'm not surprised.
Rule matches our content now.
Yeah. Fiction matches life or whatever. Yeah. So then we have Beast Naga, which you get +1 to hit vehicles or monster units and a 6+ invulnerable save. So that's a great rule to have.
Mm-hmm.
And then finally, it explains how WA works. So if you are an Orc war boss, you get the WA. If you're a speed boss, you get the speed WA. Check these out. Basically, war boss gives your whole army, core and character units get to advance and charge, and every Orc unit gets +1 attack. Or speed WA, You get +1 shot with Daca weapons, and then AP increases by 1, and then stage 2 the next turn increase the armor penetration by 1 on all your ranged weapons for Orc vehicles and bike units. If you're Ghazghkull, you get both.
Because he's both fast and a big boss.
And furious.
Yeah, it's all about family, Danny.
He is.
It's all
He's
about
all
family.
about family. So speaking of Ghazghkull,
Yeah, that smooth transition you did there.
he's the first data sheet we have. He is an HQ. He's a Supreme Commander, as you would expect him to be. His stats degrade, sort of. Like his movement gets worse, his strength gets worse, but his attacks go up. So watch out for him. He's still got, at the worst profile, he's still strength 10 minus 4 AP, 4 flat damage with 7 attacks. So, yeah, that's pretty good. He's a Goth, but he doesn't break things. Goth core and character units within 6 inches of him gets a reroll to hit rolls, which is pretty cool, especially if you're hitting on 2s already. Like just fish for 6s, like just reroll everything and fish for 6s. Yeah, he's cool. He still can. He still's got the can only take 4 wounds per phase, that kind of stuff. I still think he's pretty. He's totally viable. He's just a lot of points. So yeah, just keep that in mind if you want to play with him. You've got Makari. He doesn't take a battlefield slot or battlefield roll slot if you take him with Ghazghkull. But since he's a Gretchen, he's not actually like a Goth. Like he doesn't get the other abilities that they have. His Staba is pretty funny. If he rolls an unmodified twin roll of 6, he does D3 mortal wounds instead of damage.
He's lucky.
Damage 1, yeah. And he has a 2+ invulnerable save. Then we've got the Big Mech with the custom force field. This model is returning, which is great. Love to see it.
Wait a second here. Let me jump back here. Just talk amongst yourselves. I just want to double check something here.
Yeah.
Oh.
So he's got the
Cool.
he's
Yeah.
got the custom force field. They get a 6+ invul save if you're within 6 inches of him, which is pretty nice. Again, that does work in melee, which is pretty cool.
I was wondering if there's some weird janky secondary things you can do with him because he's a 2-up invulnerable, but no, because he's terrible in combat and terrible at everything that doesn't involve getting shot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then we've got the Big Mac with shock attack gun. The cool thing about this model, and also the other Big Mac too, but less important for him because he only has a slugga, is that they went up to ballistic skill 4+ instead of 5+.
Oh, that's really good.
So it does make the shock attack gun a little bit better. The super shaka is still obviously gone, which is fine. But yeah, he's pretty good. Keep in mind the Grot Oilers don't give them like an ablative wound anymore. They're just an ability that they have and a marker. So that's definitely something to remember. But these guys all did go up to 5 wounds, which is pretty nice. Next, we've got the War Boss, like a generic War Boss. So you can see his stat line has improved quite a bit. Toughness 6, 6 wounds, 5 base attacks. That's up from, I think, 4 before. You can give him a bunch of different weapons. He can take Combi Scorcher or Combi Shooter. He can take a Power Claw. He can also take an Attack Squig. They also gave him an invulnerable save naturally, which I think is great. Finally. Now, his aura has changed. He no longer gives the Advance and Charge aura. You have to get that through the Wah ability that he has. But he does give an aura of +1 to hit for clan core and character units. So it affects himself, so his Power Claw still hits on a 2+, which is pretty nice.
It's really good.
Next, we've got the War Boss in Mega Armor. So imagine you took a normal War Boss, and instead of a 4+ save, you gave him a 2+ save. And then instead of 6 wounds, he has 7 wounds. And that's him. He's got a little bit worse weapon than the Power Claw. Like, it's not strength 12, it's only strength 9. And then he has a Grog Gunner that has ballistic skill 4. Basically, he gets +1 to hit with his big shooter that he has on his shoulder mount, which is pretty cool. He's a really awesome model. I'm excited to get one of those. Next, we've got the Weird Boy. The Weird Boy has changed a lot. First of all, I actually really like the Weird Boy. He's got 3 strength 8 -1 D3 damage attacks.
Oh yeah, he's nasty in close combat. When
Yeah, like you kind of actually like have to be worried about him. He's also toughness 5 with 5 wounds. It's like, all right. He's got Here We Go. He's got Wah. He's got Wah Energy. Well, there are 20 more Orc models, excluding Gretchen, within 12 inches of this model. You can attempt to manifest 1 extra psychic power. So these guys aren't getting a bonus to cast anymore like they were before. So they're not nearly as powerful psychers, but I think that they're like better overall characters because they can actually punch like reasonably well. And they automatically know Smite and 2 psychic powers. So it's nice that you don't have to make them a warp ed to know, like to have a little bit of a toolbox of powers to use. Next, we've got the Big Mech and Mega Armor. He's basically just an upgraded version of the Big Mech with custom force field. He's got a lot more options. His guns are like not great. Like he's got the teleport blaster, which is a 12-inch range D6 gun. That's strength 8 -2, 3 flat damage, and ballistic skill 4. That's fine, but 12 inches of range is really not good. He can take a custom Mega Blaster, which is probably the best thing. Which is an assault D3 blast weapon that's strength 8 -3 D6 damage. So that kind of makes him a credible shooting threat. He can still take like a power claw and stuff like that. So he's, strength 10. But yeah,
I like the kill saws on these guys though, and the problem again with the custom Mega Blast.
Oh yeah, kill saws
is those hit rolls. They'll get you.
Oh, of the one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's true. Next, we got a couple of special characters. We got Boss Snickrot. Now, Boss Snickrot is not a war boss, so he doesn't limit the number of war bosses that you can take in each detachment, but he kind of fights like a war boss, so I think he's actually pretty viable. You can set him up, he gets a scout move, so you can put him up anywhere 9 inches away from your opponent's deployment zone. He's got 5+ invul. He makes enemy models -2 leadership close to him. If you're within 1 inches of a terrain feature and he attacks, you get +1 to wound. And he's got 6 strength 6 attacks that are -2 AP, 2 flat damage. So, I mean, that's pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Commando units within 6 get +1 to hit in melee. And if he's got cover, he gets +2 to his cover save. So he gets a whole 4+ save.
It's real good.
He's probably just going to use the 5 nimble. And then he's totally fine, totally good character. The only problem is he's clan locked into Blood Axis, so that's kind of an issue. I got Boss Zagstruck next. I really like Boss Zagstruck. I've always liked him. But he's got a 12-inch move, which is dope. Also, not a war boss, so you get another fighty character that you can potentially take in your detachment, which I quite like. He's got 6 wounds, 6 attacks. He's got the Vulture Claws, which give him 6 strength 8 -3 2 damage attacks with no penalty to hit, which is cool. He's got the Drill Boss aura, so Storm Boys only lose half models for failed morale tests. So if guys run away to combat attrition, like only half of them run away instead. And he has a 5-up Feel No Pain. On the turn when Wah is called, he gets to go 18 inches and still charge. Because he's got full throttle. Mm-hmm. So he's a real little missile. He's definitely a great little character assassin. I really like him. All right, next we've got the Def Killer War Trike. So if you want the speed Wah, you got to take this bad boy. Tough, 8 wounds, still 5 attacks. Basically, his stats are kind of unchanged. He does get a 5 invul save naturally now, which is great. And if he advances, he just auto advances 6, so he gets to move 20 inches. But he also has, he's also got the Fuel Mixagrot. One turn, you can just move 9 inches instead of rolling. So then he gets to move 23 inches and maybe charge. There's a bunch of different ways that you can do that. So, yeah, he rolls. He got Captain Badruck. Captain Badruck doesn't break any force detachments, but he is a war boss. So he does take up your slot in your detachment. So just keep that in mind when you do take Captain Badruck. He's still got a pretty good shooting weapon, and he's ballistic skill 4+. And flash gets to reroll to hit rolls of 1 within 6 inches of him. Yeah, he's cool. Take him if you want to take a pretty fun unit. He's not competitive, but he's fun. We've got Zog Rod Wurtzn, so this guy's new. He's a snake bite. He also doesn't break your clan culture. If you want to take him with a different clan, he's got the grab Zappa, which is +2 strength, -3 AP, 2 flat damage melee weapon. He's got 4 attacks with that bad boy. He's got Squig Stoppa, so on a 2+, you can make monster units fight last within 6 inches of him because he gives him the eye. And then he's got the Super Runts. He makes 1 squad of Gretchen and gives them +1 to hit.
Okay.
And they can shoot and perform actions too. Cool. Beast Boss. Man, this model is so cool. I just wish he was good. So he's like a war boss that was like...
From that one, I think I want you to do these reviews. Every unit entry just needs to be a single sentence like that.
Yeah, do you want me to do that? He's just a bummer though, right? He's like a normal war boss, but he's worse and he costs the same points. I don't really understand what they were going for. I guess he costs more because he's a beast snagger, maybe?
Maybe, and then that unlocks some things. The beast chopper is an additional attack, so that's kind of neat. He has his invuln, which again is the same as the other thing. Does the other war boss have the target in Squig?
He's got a grot, so it does the same thing,
right?
Except with a better gun. Mm-hmm. And then so he gets +1 to hit to himself, but so does the normal war boss. Mm-hmm. But he's already weapon skill 2+, so it's like your Snagger Claw is still hitting on a 2. It's strength 10 instead of strength 12, so it's a worse melee weapon.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just disappointing. He could have been a lot better.
Is the Beast Snagger Claw better? Or is it just a reunion version?
No, it's worse, because if you have a Power Claw on your war boss, right? Mm-hmm. He's strength 12 with the same AP and same damage.
GG.
So,
Good thing it's a beautiful model.
It's a beautiful model.
Them rules ain't selling.
Now, the Beast Boss for now, right?
Yeah.
Let's not pretend that Games Workshop is going to keep him at a relatively similar points level to a normal war boss. Mm-hmm. He's going to go down in points for sure. Yeah. Until he's usable. The Beast Box on Squigosaur, however, is dope. You should totally take those. In fact, almost every single person that I've seen playing the new workbook has got at least one of these, if not 2 or 3 even. They're that good. So it's a character that's a monster, right? But okay, he's still less than 10 wounds, so he's hideable. He's toughness 7. They all have the thick hide, so he's -1 damage. And then he's got the Beast Choppa, which is not the greatest melee weapon in the world. It's 2 damage and it's -2 AP, and he gets to make an extra attack. Mm-hmm. However, you can get a bunch of different ways to make that super accurate, like the Warlord Trait, give him extra strength, that kind of stuff. So, I mean, he does fight very well. And then also the Squigosaur's Jaws, if you roll a wound roll of 6 on his attacks, and these are strength 7, -3 AP, 3 flat damage, but if you roll 6s to wound, they just do 3 mortal wounds flat instead, which is gross because he just eats stuff.
Yeah.
He's great. You should take one. Then you got the Pain Boss, which is the Beast Snagger HQ Pain Boy. He's got a couple of different melee weapons, but I mean they're okay. I don't know.
You're really just using them for the 6-up.
Yeah. So if you need to fill an HQ slot, he's good. He costs a few more points than a regular Pain Boy. So take him if you want. Then you've got the Wur Boy. So this is the HQ version of the Beast, the Kill Rig. If you want to take him on foot, because you took the Hunter Rig instead. He's got the same Wa energy roll as the Weird Boy, but he doesn't have the close combat weapon. Mm-hmm. He has a shooting attack. It's Assault 2, Strength 6, -3 AP, D3 damage. Otherwise, same stats, just different Psychic Tree, and same abilities. Now, Mozrog is dope. You should if you consider taking Mozrog, if you're taking a Snake Bites detachment, he's very good. He's like a normal beast boss that gets +1 attack, and then also gets a better melee weapon because he's got a flat 3 damage melee weapon. And his Squig is better because if it rolls a 6 to wound, it just does 4 mortal wounds instead of normal damage. So yeah, he's got like 9 attacks base. He's got a 4-up invulnerable save. If you take his Warlord trait, he gets back up on a 4+ with D3 wounds remaining, which is really annoying. So yeah, he's awesome. All right, troops. Gretchen. Man, they got +1 toughness. So let's give him that.
Finally up to D3.
God, they got so much work. So they're -1 to combat attrition tests if they don't have a runt herd around automatically.
Mm-hmm.
They do get an extra benefit from cover, but they lost their innate armor save. So, man, they got really kicked in the teeth. I don't understand why Gretchen were so bad. I liked seeing lots of Gretchen.
I think mainly last edition with them be the Grot Shield rule really kind of screwed them over for that.
I guess, but that doesn't really exist anymore. Like, and it hasn't in a long time. So,
but just you're kicking it when it's down.
Sure. Then you've got boys. Boys stayed mostly the same, except for they got a +1 toughness, and they have a Choppa potentially, which is a -1 AP close combat weapon with +1 attack. So they got to start these chainswords more or less on their melee attack. So you want to give Choppas now. Like, the shooters aren't nearly as good. Definitely consider that your option. Next, we've got
Snagger
Boys. Yep. Let's see. So their knob doesn't get a power claw. He gets a power snapper, which is strength 7 -2 flat damage. And then the rest of them have choppas. They are strength 5 base, all of them, which is pretty nice. So yeah, they're really solid. Definitely something to think about. You can only have 20 instead of 30 though, so they're a little bit more valuable, and they do cost more. They do cost more points. Knob with the Wa banner. He just gives friendly orc units within 6 inches +1 to hit in melee, which is different than the war bosses +1 to hit in melee, which is only core units. So this will affect other like Gretchen units. This will affect like Kilocanes, for instance. It really is pretty valuable on. Also good on dreads, that kind of stuff. So he's pretty cool. He's still definitely usable. Pain Boy is basically exactly the same. He's still good. You should definitely consider taking him. He went to toughness 5, so that's dope.
Better Pain Boy.
Yeah. You got Mad Dog Rotsnick, who also doesn't break clan rules. He's pretty solid. He's still got most of the same rules where, like, he's crazy, so he has to charge if he's within 12 inches. And you have to charge the closest eligible unit. But he still fights good. I mean, he's got 4 strength 10 attacks, and he also is weapon skill 2+, so he goes to weapon skill 3+, which is pretty nice. Next, we've got the Runt Herd. You can take the Grotlash or the Squig Hound with him. The Grotlash gives an aura of Gretchen units get +1 move because he whips them to go faster. Or the Squig Hound, friendly Gretchen infantry units within 3 ignores modifiers to combat attrition tests, which is pretty good for them. Yeah, you can take him without taking a force org for each one of these for every Gretchen unit. All right. Burner Boys. Burner Boys have flamers, like real flamers now, guys. They're 12-inch range. They're strength 4. The problem with Burner Boys now is that for every 4 Burner Boys, you have to take a Spanna.
Oh, Bill. Following that box layout, huh?
Yeah. So, yeah. I mean, it's not terrible. I mean, you can take extra big shooters and that kind of stuff in there if you want to, or custom Mega Blasters, or whatever works with them. I think is not bad. They don't cost a ton of points either, so I do like Burner Boys. I think they're a good choice, especially with the stratagem and maybe that upgrade.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're worth it. The Mech, don't take that guy, guys. Like, I mean, like, I think he's okay. It's just why are you taking? I don't understand why you'd want to take an HQ like a non-HQ character. Like you're not fulfilling any Force Org chart stuff.
Let me tell you.
I guess maybe if you're trying to take a brigade.
In 6, he was great as a meme inside a Stompa.
Yeah, there you go. He was good in that. He only heals a vehicle 1 damage.
In 6, he was good.
Yeah. Anyway, so then we got Tank Busters. Now, Tank Busters did change quite a bit. They used to reroll to hit rolls against vehicles, and now they get +1 to hit against vehicles. So that seems like, okay, well, that seems like a kind of a weird trade-off. That's fine. Well, rocket launchers went from Assault 1 to Heavy D3.
Oh.
Which is both good and bad, right? Like,
there's a lot of things that have lost Assault.
Right. There's actually very few assault weapons in the Ork book. Most of their weapons are either Daca or heavy weapons. But honestly, it's fine. I think they're still very good. You just have to be aware of what your limitations are, right? Like, I think they're good in Bad Moons because they get a 30-inch range. They get potentially extra AP. But heavy D3 shots is a lot of shots on like a 15-man unit of these guys. Like, that's 15 D3 rockets. And even though they're ballistic skill 5+ or 4+ if they're shooting at a vehicle, like, that'll do work against enemies. So the bomb squigs are a great choice too. It's definitely worth it to consider taking bomb squigs.
Yeah.
Man, commandos have so many options now because of that new box.
They sure do.
Yeah, they can take bomb squigs. They've got a distraction grot. They're really cool. Definitely consider taking these guys. I don't think I'd take a giant unit of them. Oh, John, you know what? I was wrong on these guys.
You can take them in squads of 15, which makes that secondary
a little bit better.
So yeah, if you take 2 15-mans and you just forward deploy, that's But again, you're having to build your army around that because you're investing hundreds of points in these 2 units. But yeah, definitely something to think about.
Yeah, I mean, you're looking at 300 points for a 15-man commando unit.
Oh, ouch.
Which is...
that is
no, sorry, 300 points for 2 15-man.
Oh, good. I was like, geez. I was like, what do they do for Orks that they're that expensive?
Well, they do get +1 to wound if they're within 1 inch of a terrain feature, which is kind of cool with Choppas. Like, they get a lot of attacks.
Yeah.
So, pretty solid. Meganobs, another unit that's pretty great. I like these guys with as truck boys potentially is a good choice.
Oh yeah.
Because they can get out after the truck is moved, and they're pretty slow normally.
You can
and they have
going over some of the that movement like issues you're having. Certainly moving 5, like 6 to 11 a turn max.
Right. So, and they can either make them shooty and fighty, or just more fighty. I would just stick with the combi bolters. I think that the double kill saw is probably not worth it because you have to pay like an extra 10 points a model, I think, for the extra kill saws, which is pretty harsh. And 3 attacks at strength 10 is probably just fine. Regular knob units, I think this is another good target for truck boys. I think they're actually just good in general. They're 2 wounds. They have 3 attacks. You can give them all like big choppas, or you can actually give them double choppas if you want. And with double choppas, they have 5 attacks at strength 5 -1 AP for like 17 points a model, which is pretty legit. I think that's good.
Yeah.
And they have a 4+ armor save because
really good.
they're knobs. Yeah, I think they're fine. Next, we've got Shock Jump Dragsters. Since all the buggies don't necessarily break up anymore, I think that there's probably some I think that's both good and bad. It allows you to more effectively allocate stratagems to the unit and buffs, but also it makes them a big old target.
Yeah.
And these guys don't take damage very well. So part of that was like 1 buggy was annoying to kill. 3 buggies is like, okay, actually it's worth it for me to kill this unit because it's a significant portion of your army. Now, the buffs that they got, the saw blades are way better. Like, they're +2 strength, -2 AP, 2 flat damage, whereas before they were just like +1 strength, -1 AP, 1 damage. So they got a huge buff. Yeah, I think these guys are cool. Their gun is still very good. It's and the rocket went to heavy D3, which is cool. The Boom Deca Snaz Wagon is pretty dope. It's one of the cheaper buggy choices. It's also natively -1 to hit from billowing flames. And the Mech special got upgraded to be -2 AP, 2 flat damage. So it's like a 14 shot or 15 shot heavy bolter.
Yeah.
If you get within 30 inches, so it shoots a lot of shots. Plus, it gets to throw grenades and do the big shooter and everything else. Yeah, so I think it's pretty good. That's definitely a choice. Like, I like all the buggy units. I think they're much better. Warbikers are absolutely awesome. You should definitely consider taking these units. For 25 points a model, getting a toughness 5, 3 wound unit is great, especially one that moves 14 inches and gets to shoot like 10 shots.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty good. Also, the knob is 4 wounds, which is like a weird number, so it can kind of break up some of the 3 damage shots, like in a weird way that kind of preserves them a little bit better.
Oh yeah, nice.
And you can give him like a power claw and stuff like that too. Boost to Blastas got a significant boost.
You with the puns today, I swear to God.
I know, dude. I'm on fire. Just like this Boost to Blasta.
Oh God.
So their burnout exhausts went from D3 to D6. So each of them gets 4 D6 flamer shots.
All right, so they are pretty good. I'll give you that.
Yeah, and then they also have the Rivet Cannon, which is strength 7 -2, 2 flat damage, and it can be 9 shots if you're within half range, which is cool. They also have a spiked ram, so they do mortal wounds on a 4+ when they charge. Yeah, I think they're really cool.
Yeah.
Knob on Smash the Squig is probably my favorite unit in this book. Not
What's
because
that?
they're like, I mean, they're very good,
Mm-hmm.
but they're also like really fun. It's a character that you just get to run around with. You get to take them for free if you take the Squig Boys. Like, you can take 2 Smash the Squigs per unit of Squig Boys without taking up 4 sword slots.
Nice.
They do mortal wounds on the charge. They get 4 strength 7 attacks, and then also 2 strength 6 attacks, and all of those do 2 damage. So they do like a bunch of attacks. Like, I think they're great. The Ruckachuk Squig Buggies. This is the power unit that everyone's been talking about. I think they're also pretty good. They get to lay a Squig Mine. I have yet to see anybody lay any Squig Mines.
Too busy
Very
hiding in your
disappointed by
back
that.
line,
Yeah,
shooting at the line of sight.
exactly. Way too busy hiding in the back line shooting people. The heavy Squig Launcher is a really good weapon, especially since it's shot by a Grot, so it's ballistic skill 4. It's an assault 2d6 -2 AP heavy bolter that ignores line of sight with blast. It's really good. Anyway, yeah, they're fine. You'll see these all the time, especially with the saw blades and everything else. They're great. Megatrix Scrap Jets also very good. The fast attack slot, like pretty much every choice in here is good.
Real struggling for choice right there.
Yeah.
It's all Chaos Elite problem.
The nose drill is still a great melee weapon. They still have the spiked rams, so they do mortal wounds on the charge potentially on a 4+. They have 2 big shooters, so they get to shoot like 20 shots worth of big shooter shots, plus 1 wing missile, plus a 3d3 rocket cannon. So it's a lot of guns on this model.
Mm-hmm.
For right around 100 points a dude. With Ramshackle, they're like medium tough. Yeah, I think they're, again, another great unit. Storm Boys, super fast, you can do a bunch of different stuff with them. You can use them at MSU with Death Skulls to like kind of take away people's objectives, because you kind of like just fly them onto an objective and say, no, I'm OBSEC, dude.
And you're not.
Get out of here. Yep. They can also deep strike to do rod and that kind of stuff, so they're good at that. Squig Boys punch super hard. The only thing I've seen with them that's kind of like a little scary is that they don't take damage very well. Not because they're not tough, because they're toughness 6 with 3 wounds, and like they're pretty inexpensive. The problem with them is that once you lose 1, you're automatically at risk of losing another 1 for morale, because they're only leadership 6.
Oh yeah.
So that's kind of an intrinsic problem with this book, I would say. is that leadership values are super low. So if you kill stuff, there's a good chance stuff is going to run away from morale. All right, and the last choice sorry, I can talk more about Squig Hog Boys, but like they hit really hard. They're very good.
Counterpoint on this side: just kill one of them and watch them kill themselves.
That's right. Watch the Squigs eat themselves.
Because Orc players spend all their CP pregame, so they can actually auto pass morale.
Yeah, well, they can only do it once. Anyway, we got Def Copters here. Def Copters, 14-inch move, really good. Toughness 5 with 4 wounds, and they have Ramshackle because they're vehicles, which gives them certain immunities, which are very good too. They also have their Spinning Blades, which are 3 attacks instead of 1. So each of them is rocking 6 attacks.
Mm-hmm.
At strength 5, minus 1 AP. That's pretty good. They auto advance 6. They can fly high, so they get the deep strike. Anybody what? And they have a rocket cannon that is heavy 2d3.
Really
or they can take a custom Mega Blaster, which is like a kind of a weak little las cannon, but still pretty good.
Until you roll a 1 to hit. I don't like things that do like mortal wounds to yourself and its base rules.
Yeah, I guess. It's a weird thing too that happens. Like, what happens if you have a wounded Def Copter, and then you roll a 1 on the dude with the custom Mega Blaster, and he takes a wound? Like, that just makes it a situation where you have multiple wounded models in the same unit, and it's just gonna make you mad.
I guess you could use that to jank things, but anyway, yeah, Mech guns.
Man, Mech guns got a big debuff.
Womp.
Yeah, thank God. They were stupid. I'm glad that they did. I have no qualms about that. The tractor cannon has to roll to hit now, but it gets a bonus to hit aircraft. And it's it's got 1 shot. If you shoot a vehicle that can fly, it does D6 plus 3 damage, which is a lot, and it does normally D3 plus 3, which is also a lot. It gets to add +1 to hit roll all the time, so it gets to hit on a 3. Against aircraft, it gets to add +2, so it hits on it'll still hit aircraft on a 3 because it can only get +1 to hit.
Mm-hmm.
But aircraft are mostly -1 to hit, so that works out.
Can I just say
Smash a gun.
The bubble chuck, the middle result being a wobbly bubble, is my favorite thing on this page.
Oh, big sad. It's just what happened to your bubble chuck? It shot a wobbly buttle. A wobbly buttle. Sorry, it's late, guys.
It is.
All right, moving on. We're almost through all these units, guys. Orcs have a lot of units.
They're like Space Marine levels now.
You know what they have a lot of really is characters.
Yeah.
I think that we went through like 5 pages of characters.
We did.
We got the Battle Wagon. So the Battle Wagon is kind of the middle between the Bonebreaker and the Gun Wagon. It gives you a little bit of both. One cool thing that this does is you can transport Ghazghkull with it. Like, weirdly. Even though he's a monster. It says he takes up 18 slots.
That's fair.
He's a big boy. You can give it a def roller if you want. You can give it like the big gun on the back. You can give it an Ard case if you'd like to make it toughness 8. But it loses open topped, which is fine. I'd rather be toughness 8 than have guys shoot out of it. Yeah, I think it's cool.
Yeah.
I got the Bonebreaker. Bonebreaker is the close combat version. Its cool thing is it gets an extra D6 attacks when it charges. It starts with 6 attacks, so that's 6 plus D6 attacks with the Def Rolla, which are strength 9 at top profile, minus 2 AP, 2 flat damage, and it hits on 2s. So I think that you can do kind of a list that kind of like, and they're not super expensive. Like, these guys are like, I don't know, I don't think they're 200 points or anything like that. Nope. I think it's kind of close to that. But
Def Roll is now as well pre-packaged with the actual Battle Wagon models.
Yeah, that's right. They are changing that. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Finally, we've got the Gun Wagon. The Gun Wagon has an ability called a Periscope, where it gets, with a big gun that it has, with a cannon, kill cannon, zap gun, or bomb, or Dabooma, which is the custom job. It gets +1 to hit on that, so it becomes weapon or a ballistic skill 4+ instead of 5+. It can take a def roll too. That's pretty cool. Yeah, gun wagons are dope. just less transport capacity than you could be on the battle wagon.
No Gazgulls, just 12 boys.
No Gazgulls. That's only on the battle wagon, guys. Next, we've got Kilocanes. Kilocanes went up to weapon skill 4+ from weapon skill 5+. So you gotta love that. They're ramshackle. They are leadership 6 though, so as soon as you lose a Kilocan, you could have one run away.
Small units, boys. Small units.
But they got the Scragum rule, so if there's 3 or more models in the unit, they get +1 attack, which takes them to 4 attacks. And their melee weapon, the Can Claw, is pretty good. It makes them strength 8 -3 AP, 3 flat damage.
Yeah.
And they get to shoot reasonably well at ballistic skill 4+. Next, we got Ludas. The Ludas Daca Gun is no longer random. It's just a set number of shots. So it's Daca 3/2. So if you're within 24 inches of the enemy, you get to shoot 3 shots. If you're outside, but within 48, you get to shoot 2 shots. And they have an autocannon profile. So these guys get a lot less good without being able to do more Daca on them and that kind of stuff, or shoot twice with bad moons. But I still think they're fine. Like, they're a great light vehicle killer. You could take 10 in a unit, and I think you would probably do just fine. You just got to take a Spana with them.
Death Treads.
Death Dreads. So this is the only mob that like comes on the table and then breaks up. They still have that rule. So either when you deploy them, each of them becomes a separate unit. Man, can they have a lot of attacks. So they get +1 attack for each Dreadclaw that they have. And you could have 4 Dreadclaws on one of them. So that's a lot of attacks. They could have, 7 attacks each? Yeah. So that's pretty cool. Or you can give them some shooting weapons if you want. If you're a real big wimp. I was going to just
Wimpy jerk.
Manlyhood. Yeah, wimpy jerk. We got the Kill Rig. So Kill Rig is one of the new things for Beast Nagas. 16 wounds, so you can still hide it. It's a psyker and a character, so it can heroically intervene, weirdly enough. It's open topped and can transport 10 Beast Naga infantry models. In addition to all the other attacks and things that it gets to do. It has a harpoon cannon that you can target vehicles or monsters. And then they can't move further away from it. So potentially I think you can cause a flyer to crash.
Oh yeah, because they won't be able to make their minimum move.
Yeah. It has a whir tower, so if your psyker gets a power off, it becomes assault D3 and auto hits at strength 9 -3 D6 damage.
Oh.
Plus it has the heavy lava, plus it has the stick of cannon, plus it has a ton of attacks in close combat. It has a lot of stuff going on for it. It's expensive, but it's potentially very much worth it. I like these guys, and it can cast powers. It can cast 2 psychic powers every turn. Flash kits. So the Snaz gun went to heavy 3 -2 flat damage, because I don't think it was 2 flat damage before, right? It was
I don't believe so. No,
yeah. Their ballistic skill 4+, and the leader has a get find a Swig, which means he basically hits on a 3+ because he's +1 to hit. They're 2 wounds apiece. They're still toughness 5. They still actually fight okay because they have 3 strength 5 attacks each, so they'll chop up some weaker infantry models. I mean they're okay. They're a little bit expensive, but I think that there's some lists that you can probably make them work in. The other cool thing about them now is that they have the clan keyword, so you can make them whatever clan you want, which I really like. I'm glad I can have Bad Moon's flash kits again. The Hunter rig is basically exactly the same as the Kill rig, except it's cheaper and you can put more Beast Naga infantry models, and then it's also not a psyker. That is the difference between those 2 models. Otherwise, they're the same.
The truck.
And the ye old truck. It's exactly what you would expect. It's cheap. It has toughness 6. It has a 12-inch move. It's a 4+ armor save. You can give it a grab and claw or a wrecking ball if you want to. You don't have to. You probably shouldn't. Just keep it cheap. It can still transport 12 flash kits or infantry models. Mega armored or jump pack models take up 2 models. So you can put like what are they called? Storm Boys inside of them if you so desire.
You crazy.
You crazy man.
Yeah. That kind of works though for getting some kind of secondaries though, because if you again
The extra distance.
Yeah, the extra movements and things.
Yeah, it gives you 3 inches of extra movement. So effectively then you can move those guys 21 inches out of a truck.
Yeah.
That's kind of cool. All right. Burner Bomber. The Burner Bomber has changed quite a bit. The Burner Bomb is a lot different. You drop it and then roll a d6 for each model within 6 inches of the point in which you drop the bomb. And you have to drop it in a path that it moves in, right? On a 5+, they take 1 mortal wound. This could be extremely good for horde armies because they're probably going to be packed up pretty tight. And you can probably get like 15, 20 models to roll for instead of rolling like 10 dice and trying to get 4s. Rolling 20 dice and trying to get 5s is probably about the same or better.
Yeah.
Yeah. It shoots a lot of Scorcher missiles too. Next, we've got the Daca Jet. So the Daca Jet's pretty cool. It's good in the Speedwa army because of the number of shots that it gets. Because it has
4 of the super shooters.
Well, 6 if you pay the points.
Oh, who wants to pay points for things?
Yeah, I do. Usually, I like to pay points. Which makes it 36 shots at 18 inches. Or if the Speedwa is going on, then you get an extra 6 shots. So it's 42 shots per Daca Jet. If you combo that up with something like Freebootas, you kill a unit, and then all of your Daca Jets are now +1 to hit. So now they're hitting on 4s. So they're getting like 22 strength 6 -2 AP shots, like hits on units. You're gonna feel that. That's a lot of damage. So that's kind of a cool build. Blitzen Mama, I don't think people are taking those. The Boom Bomb is not nearly as good. It's not as good as the Scorcher Bomb because it's not models, it's just units, and they take like D3 mortal wounds if you roll a 4+. The Wazbomb Blastojet is kind of a cool choice. You might see these being taken just because you've got the Blastofield Force Jet or Blastojet Force Field, so you can give a 5+ invulnerable save to all your aircraft units within 9 inches of him. So that definitely helps to keep them protected. And then it still can have stuff like a Smash-A-Gun and a Teleport Mega Blasta, stuff like that in it, so it can have some pretty good shooting weapons as well.
Almost there.
Or Morkanaut. Morkanaut and Gorkanaut, we're looking at these guys side by side. They're basically a knight. They're not as fast. You can see they're only movement 8, so you can get them up to movement 11.
Yep.
If you give them the pistons, right? They get to make a lot of attacks with their smash attacks. So they like the Morkanaut's making 12, the Gorkanaut's making 15 at full profile. They're also 6 damage flat at -4 AP if they do the crush attacks, which is pretty cool. The Mega Zappa still hurts. It's strength 8 -3 d6 damage, heavy 3d3. But again, hitting on a 5+. Just a lot of shots. The Gorkanaut's kind of cool in that the Deathstorm Mega Shooter is DACA 30/20.
It's real good.
Yes, it can shoot a lot. The cool thing that these guys got is they got the big and stompy, which means they can move out of combat and still shoot. And move over units as it does so, which is pretty cool. They can still transport models as well. Finally, we have the Stompa. Pray for Stompa.
Pray for Stompa.
He still costs probably too many points. He did get a little bit of a point reduction. I think he costs like 100 less points or something like that. He still fights pretty well. He still does that stuff. He's still got a lot of guns. The Super Gatla is different now. It's not like it gets to keep shooting people. Um, it's got the Def Cannon, which is heavy 3d6, strength 10 minus 4d6 damage. And still got super rockets, all that stuff. It's got the big and stompy roll. He also lets orcs within 6 inches reroll morale tests.
Nice.
And he gets to heal D3 wounds.
That's really good. Seems really annoying.
Yeah, he's got a lot of wounds. Still got 40 wounds. So, and if you want clan traits on him, you still have to take a super heavy detachment to get those.
So you won't have clan traits on him.
You might. I don't know if you want to play that list. I guess you could take him and a couple of Morkanauts or something like that. That's kind of an army, I think.
Whoa. That's the book.
Is it?
That is.
Okay.
There's a lot in this book.
Yeah. There's a lot in that book.
Or did I miss things in that book? The only thing I saw was kind of gloss over towards that was the Mech Boy workshop.
Yeah, there's the new terrain piece and also the point costs, but it's fine. We don't have to go over
Oh
those.
my gosh, you were right. You know, I completely forgot about. Please, Lord, forgive me. The greatest the release from this set, the Big Ed Boss Bunker.
It's got some shooting attacks. It boosts the range of your war boss's abilities, I think, or something like that.
Yeah,
it's a speaker full.
It has a Gaze of Gork as well. It's essentially a Gargant head. I think it was my favorite thing. And then
that's the fluff behind it.
And then some weapon profiles, as you were saying, and then very blurry points. I apologize. Next time I will be way better about it. Bam, Danny. I cut you off in your flow, but what do you think of the Young Orc book now that it's been out for 6 weeks?
It's pretty good. This is an interesting release decision that they had for this. I think that... Oh, did we go black?
No, you're just looking at the wrong screen. You're looking
at
the previous screen. Okay. Yeah.
Cool. Right. I think it's a good book. I think it's got a lot of potential. Like, the characters are really fighty. I'm interested to kind of see where this book kind of ends up in the grand scheme of things. I think that maybe it's definitely not up to like Drukhari or Admech and how they are right now, right?
Right.
I don't even know that it's up to the same level that Sisters are at. I think Sisters are probably a better army. But I think it's probably solid, like mid-range army. I think that it's got some really cool abilities, and you can make some lists that are very... Like, you can make a very shooty list if you're playing something like Freebooters that works really well. I mean, we kind of talked about that with the planes. Combine that with some of the buggies and that kind of thing, and like I think it hits extremely hard, especially if it goes first. Or you can build kind of a more generic army with like more like tradey kind of units, like Storm Boys and stuff like that. Storm Boys, Commandos, OBSEC units, like you've seen people like Seth the Mad Dog kind of take and perfect. He's got a pretty good list that does that kind of stuff. And then you've got, you can probably still play a Horde style army if you want to. I just think a lot of the leadership mitigation tools that they previously had in their book are now gone. And so that's kind of problematic for them a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. So where would you rate the book compared to other 9th edition releases?
Yeah, I don't think it's the best one, but I think it's probably it's probably like in the middle of the pack or a little bit above that. I would say it's probably just below Sisters as far as power level. It probably is around the same level that I think Thousand Sons is. It might be a little bit worse than that. But like the pure aggression that this kind of an army can have is crazy high. So if like an Orc army just kind of pushes towards their opponent, especially if it's like mounted all on trucks and things like that, I think that they're going to do so much damage. And it's going to be really tough to kind of push them out of the middle, because once you get close to them, like they're going to win almost any fight that they get into, right. Especially if they get to pick the fight. So there's not many units that can like weather the storm of how many attacks a unit of boys can throw out, or be Snagas, or a war boss, or a dude on a Squigosaur.
Yeah. All right. Take us home, Dan.
Yeah. Well, that's the Orc book. Thanks for tuning in to the Mob Rules review of the Orc Codex. We're going to try and keep doing these as new books come out and we get preview content from Games Workshop. Thank you, Games Workshop.
Yeah, thank you, Games Workshop. This is an ad. This is an advertised. We were provided this copy of review as an advert. Thank you. Sorry, I forgot to mention that at the start.
So so definitely check out this orc book, or keep playing your orc book if you already got a copy of the Beast Nagas box that came out, the limited edition box. I know I did. I've got my special edition Codex here. It's pretty shiny, or it was. I've definitely done a lot of reading through it. But yeah, I think it's So if you like this content, check out our podcast, which we do a medium amount, like once a month. Sometimes we do a couple of times a month. It's just kind of periodic, but also and more frequently, you can check us out on Grim After Dark. We do that podcast every single week. Currently on Tuesdays.
Yep.
At 10 p.m. Pacific or 10 p.m. Eastern time.
Yes. God, no, 10% Pacific time I would die.
Yeah, me too, dude. Me too. And that's on the Frontline Gaming Network. Mob Rules you can find wherever mediocre podcasts are found. You can also find our other content on YouTube. So if you like this, subscribe to our channel. Click the like, click the notification so you can get updates whenever we release other poorly edited reviews.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome, John. That's totally a dig on you.
Well, I appreciate that.
But yeah, I've been Danny.
I've been John.
And we'll see you next time.